Okay, all good? All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for coming. I'm going to call this council meeting to order. And just to start off with, I would like to acknowledge that we are not the first people to live, work, and play on. Again? Oh, now we're good. Now we're back on. I think there was a short. Come on back. We're making you work. So everyone, today is our last meeting with Catalina. She is moving on to Prince Edward County. We've had a great time working with you. You've been an energetic team member, great ideas, tons of enthusiasm. You're amazing at research, and we are going to miss you very much.
I'll miss all of you, too.
So, all right, Madam Clerk, are there any items not listed on the agenda?
Through you, Your Worship, one last time. There are two addendums not listed on the agenda. One has a report to council, and the other also has a report to council.
Okay, and then we're also adding the pathfinders are going to come for a few minutes and do a presentation. All right, now, announcements. I think we'll start with you today, Gary. Can you turn on your mic, please? Thank you.
Last Tuesday, Cosman Pop had an open house in Sanford Hall for the people of Leasdale, with the idea that he's considering putting a internet tower into Leasdale. There are about 24 people attending, so we'll see what transpires from then. On Friday, there was a fundraiser for musical instruments for the students in Sanford. About 100 people attended, and they raised around $2,400.
Amazing.
That's all I have.
Thank you very much. How about yourself, Gord?
Yeah, firstly, I'll echo your comments about Catalina. Best wishes for your new career in Prince Edward County. We had a cake earlier today, just in case you're wondering why we didn't do anything for her. She's had a couple of gifts as well. So, but anyway, good luck with that. Last week, council participated, or most councillors, in the prayer breakfast over at Windance last week. That was well attended. A few of us also attended the Precious Minds Golf Tournament. It was a bit of a catastrophe, but we managed to pull through. We had to carry Todd around the course. It was very unfortunate. So.
I think I took a couple shots for you guys too, and it didn't go well.
Yeah,
I took two strokes and I lost one ball. So.
And I'm sure there's more, but I'll just mention some of my highlights. Coming up this week, we have the launch Vision Zero program down at the region. That's a safety program where we want to have no fatalities on roads in Durham and or bad accidents. So that's a new program. So if you need more information about it, please let me know, or through Mayor Barton as well, because it's a very important, and the region is endorsing this now, and we need to get behind it. We've had recent proclamations for the 30K speed limit, things like that. So we're moving towards safer roads for everybody. So thank you.
Go ahead. Thanks, Willie.
Thanks, Mayor Dave. I think not enough's been said, but certainly thank you for everything that you've done in the short time that I've been on council. Catalina, you've been a pleasure to work with, always ready to help and give anything that you can to the township. So thank you very much. Starting today was Bike Month, so hopefully everybody got a chance to get out and possibly bike to work. Lots of things going on around town, around the province for that matter, with regards to this. As Councillor Hyatt alluded to, let's be safe on our roads. It's nicer out now, so while you're out driving around, let's take that extra look when the little ones are out and around our parks and before and after school times to make sure everybody's safe. Another thing, I'm actually on the Accessibility Committee as well, and this is also National Accessibility Week. So coming on Wednesday is Red Shirt Day, and what they're asking everyone to do is to wear a red shirt to support improving accessibility for all. And lastly, I know Mayor Barton was probably going to bring this one up, but local resident Haley Smith had her first career podium at a World Cup this past weekend. And I could have just said Czech Republic, but because it goes into notes, I'll say that it's from Nové Mesto na Morave. And I have that for you afterwards.
Thank you very much. Go ahead, Pam.
Good evening, everyone. Catalina, you're going to be missed a lot. And everything has been said, so you know that. Anyways, on with some announcements. I was privileged to go to the Youth Theatre to see Newsies. Everybody's got to go. The energy, the fight scene, the acting, the singing is, wow, next to nothing I've seen in a while. It's just really amazing. You've got to go. And Sunday afternoon, I was at the Pine Grove United Church at their yearly service. The house was packed. It was a great service done by Brian Evans and his group. And Durham 8 is under rehabilitation and all is going well. And don't travel the road unless you want to get dusty right now. The Goodwood Lions Dog Walk went extremely well. They raised a tremendous amount of money. I was really blown away by that. And tomorrow morning is the Chamber of Commerce breakfast, and our regional chair, John Henry, will be speaking, our keynote speaker. And on June 1st, the Trinity United Church has their 49th house tour coming up. So that's very important. And actually, on the 31st, this week, on Wednesday, we have at our historical center the AGM, and there's a guest speaker, and he's going to talk about the disappearance of rural barns. And he apparently is a fantastic speaker. And also there is a museum open house on June the 2nd from 12 till 3. So please come out and get a tour and see what's up at our historical center. Thank you.
Go ahead, Todd.
Good evening to everyone. It's great to see so many out, to the media. And Catalina, if you do half of as well as you have done here, you'll be amazing there. We look forward to hearing back from you as you move forward in this promotion. As Gord has mentioned, the Uxbridge Prayer Breakfast, the focus there was on seniors. It was great to have prayer for the seniors in our community. Precious Minds Golf Tournament, yeah, we won't talk any further about that. Some new interest has been in partnerships in two new sports. Many will know that pickleball is picking up in Ontario quite rapidly, so there is some interest in that, as well as rugby, and we're looking at options for both those within our township. There's renewed interest in the dog park committee, so we are looking at that as well. Regional recycling compost event happened at the arena. If you happened by there, it was quite messy, but it seems to be fairly, oh yeah, seems to be cleaned up pretty well. I did take part with my dog Arrow in the Walk for Guide Dogs, as mentioned by Pam. It was a great event, and it was amazing to walk the path that they had, and during that time frame see so much activity in Uxbridge on a Sunday afternoon. The farmers market was packed. The music hall, people were waiting for the show that runs again Thursday to Sunday this week. And what was the other thing I walked by? There was something else that was going on, but a whole bunch of people out and about, again, beautiful weather, so hopefully that can stay for a while.
Okay, go ahead, Bruce.
Just real quick, I can't let Catalina go without saying something, so thank you so much for your help, and I think I just wrapped it up when I gave her a hug in the hall. I'm going to miss her. The only thing I'm just going to add, it kind of builds on Councillor Beach's approach. We had a tour today of the museum and got to see some of the things. All of us have been there before, but touring around and seeing some of the features of that museum, you may think there's not much to do when you get there. You sure can't do it in an hour. We went through it pretty quick and missed a lot of things, but there are so many cool things up there. If you haven't been in a while, I'd encourage you to do that. And the other golf and so on, we're going to let that rest. So.
All right, and before I do my announcements, I'm just going to take a second. Now, this is not, Catalina, you won't be the center of attention this time, but this is for Pam Beach. Pam, Ingrid, could you put on your mic just so someone might hear me? Pam had a birthday this last week. So Pam had her 65th birthday, which is fantastic. We're so happy to have you as a member on the team. There's some flowers, and we have a lovely certificate for Pam. And it's our very first one with this graphic, so you're the guinea pig as well. Happy birthday, Pam.
Thank you so much.
No problem. Oh, and we have to post because look, there's Gail. The paparazzi's here. Okay. There we go. Thanks, Gail. There you are. I'll go back. I have some announcements as well. I'll run through them as quick as I can. The Durham Mountain Bike Association had their demo fest at Durham Forest, which was fantastic. I was at a Lake Simcoe Conservation Board meeting on Friday where they talked about salt use, and they're working on to decrease the sodium levels in Lake Simcoe. It's becoming an issue, and they need to work with the province, with municipalities, with local contractors, and with landowners to make this happen. It's going to be a large project. I had a tour of Castool, which is a major employer in Uxbridge, and it's amazing the work that's being done in Uxbridge. And what I've noticed is a lot of our entrepreneurs, they choose to live in this incredible town and then invest here. So about 4 different times when I was speaking to Paul, who runs that facility, he chose that facility because he loves this town. And somewhere around 140 employees there. And they're reinvesting, putting on an additional 20,000 square feet. And they just broke ground when I was there. And then there was a gala for the North Ghana Hospital, and that was last Thursday night. And our local physicians and church groups have raised over $10 million to build a hospital in northern Ghana. And that's been driven by our community. A lot of the money has come from here, and the impact that they've made in that community already has been phenomenal with their visits over there. And this will be a lasting impact where they will become self-sufficient. Great news. And then we had our first transit advisory committee, and then I had my first TAPMO meeting, which was the top aggregate producing municipality, so we're looking to get a better bang for our buck when it comes to gravel revenues. All right. And then any disclosures of interest? Oh, Pam Beach, that's interesting.
Oh, just so surprising. Subject matter, Grain Boys, item DS 3219, May 27th, 2019. I, Pamela Beach, declare perceived pecuniary interest by residents. Subject matter is Grain Boys.
Thank you very much. All right. Now, for our delegations, we are very, very tight for time tonight. We allowed a young lady to slip in here, and we're very happy to have you, but we're tight for time. So if you could keep it as short as possible, that would be fantastic. And we are starting out with Saber. Come on up. You can either go here to this table, Saber, or to the podium. It's up to you. Yeah, we'll do that. Is that all right? Okay, go ahead, Saber. Oh, and there's a microphone. So the one right in front of you, Saber, there's a button on it. There you go. And then pull through the red, pull it, no, okay, that'll work.
Good evening, everybody. I'm here to address a problem with the tax department. They never issue any statement, anything until 2016, since the place was burned out, and still the file is not closed from building department, and the tax department charged me more than $14,989.35 interest and penalty. Even I was not aware of it. That I'm here to ask the council and all the people to waive the taxes, penalty and interest, which I was not aware of it. I did pay all my taxes. The only things outstanding what I believe, from 2012 to 2016, there is a penalty and interest. Then on the top of that, the penalty and interest, altogether about $15,000 penalty and interest. And we have very harsh time to paying, regular taxes, because when a notice of property assessment came, it was so high, and I did fight back, and they reduced it back, but still the township, from that moment, start interest and penalty from 2012 till now. Even the file is not closed yet. I do have occupancy. It takes 6 years to build this place. Some unit was empty, some unit was under construction, some unit was, rented out. In that period of time, I was struggling to put the building back, but unfortunately, the only things I was not aware of it before the fire, my taxes was $2,359 per year. Now the township, the new notice of property assessment, charging me $11,000 something per year. That's so much interest and penalty on the top of that. I did pay $30,000 a month ago, and I paid $16,500 on 2016, and still I couldn't believe they putting penalty and interest again and again, and bring my account, which is right now outstanding. That's why I'm here to request from all of you to waive all these penalty and interest, and I will pay whatever the regular taxes. I will pay that, which is $11,000 together I will owe.
Thank you very much, Saber. Does anyone from council have any questions for Saber? Okay. You don't have a question? Ingrid, I'm sure this has happened at council numerous times before. What's typically the process on how we deal with this when it's presented at council?
Okay. As far as waiving taxes on outstanding accounts, or what he's talking about is interest and penalty. That's what he's asking you to waive. You need to be prepared, if you're going to waive it, that you should be open to waiving it for others as well. This is the problem that you have. There's a lot of people that owe money on interest and penalty on their taxes, and it's very difficult to say that one person's going to be excused from paying it and everybody else has got to pay it. Now, Sue is here from the tax department at the back. If maybe it would be good to have her come up, and she can maybe speak to a little bit as well.
Okay. Now Saber, we'd like you to just sit down, because it won't be a debate here. She's just going to explain our situation, then if we choose to meet with you again, we will. Is that okay, Saber?
Yes, I'm not asking any favor or anything, but I'm going through hardship, and also the place doesn't make any money, even the businesses. Any tenant I get, they come and go and take all my stuff. That's this small town, Sanford, but I made this place very good, nice place. But now I'm not asking favor, but my circumstance is different, because I was not aware of any taxes until 2016. That's
But this is the challenge is this. There are other people in this community who may not have paid their taxes who will have interest and penalty. I'm not talking about the tax amount, I'm talking about the interest and penalty.
exactly.
And I'm saying to council, if you're prepared to do that, then you need to be prepared to do it for others. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying you shouldn't do it or you should do it, but I'm just saying if you do it, you set a precedent that you may have others coming, and then you get into a discussion around why did you let this one do it and why didn't you let this one do it. It's just, it's something you need.
Mayor Dave? If you will, I wouldn't mind asking just one quick question here from my, Saber, I'm just curious, I mean, as a landowner, you're aware that annually we have property taxes that we have to pay.
Yes, sure.
And I realize that, you know, for 1 year that you might miss and you might not, you might say, where is my tax?
Okay, you didn't got my point. The place was burned out.
Yes,
If you are aware of that in 2010
yes,
in July. And from that moment until now, still I'm working, but the file has never been closed with the township, the building department, and I extended another couple of years, and I was not aware of how much, because I put the same square feet before was, even not a foot larger or something. I was assuming my tax wouldn't go 10 times high. Then in 2016, when I got the tax bill from the township, $63,000, I was shocked. Then I called them and I go to property assessment, they corrected, and they say the penalty and interest when they calculate the township, the one, they have the right to waive it or not, they cannot do it, that your property value that much. I did agree with that,
sure.
new building. But what I'm here, because of, see, the place was under construction, takes 5 years to build everything.
Sure.
I built it by myself, night and day I work hard to build. Plus, I run the business to support my kids and to put some food on the table.
And I understand that, and I understand where you're going.
I'm not here to, honestly, I'm not here to get, favor or get something. I'm here to disclose this problem, to address this problem to the council, up to you guys. I'm not asking favor or anything as she said.
I'm not
my
suggesting.
My circumstance is different because I was not aware of the taxation and the penalty and stuff like that, and it's still under construction.
And that's where I was going, Saber, was, if, as an example, I'll look at income tax for a moment. I choose to, if I don't submit my income tax to the government, I'm still accountable for that year of income tax. My point on it with property tax, if we haven't provided that to you, and you're saying, I believe in your document 2010, but it's 2016.
Yeah, exactly.
As a business person looking after your business, I would assume that you would want to look after that.
Okay, when I had the site plan agreement with the township, from 2010 until 2016, I never had any tax from tax department. I was not aware of it. That's what I'm saying. If I'm trying to say, because after property assessment, they send me a bill. The bill was very high, then I fight back, they reduce it because they put all the things commercial. But this is residential, half commercial. They correct it. Now, you're right, because if some people are behind their taxes, they are responsible. But in my circumstance and my problem is, I never had any bill from the township. They should, at least one single bill in 2013 total for 14 or 15, they should give me some, lump sum. This is your tax bill will be. Then I say, okay, I will pay that.
There it is. Do you want me to give a chronology of the events, or do you want to just make a motion? Okay.
Yeah.
Saber, we understand what's happened and how we got here. What I'd like you to do, I'd like you to go sit down and we'll have Sue explain from our side, if you don't mind. And Saber, thank you for the service you bring to Sanford. I grew up in a general store, and I understand that many of the local residents need that service, and I understand that. So thank you very much, Saber. Sue, can you come up? Thank you very much. Bruce, were you gonna say something similar to what Sue's gonna say, or? Okay, perfect. Perfect.
So actually what Saber was mentioning was that, yes, there had been reassessments based on the, new build of the store from replacing it from the fire damage. We received the assessments from MPAC, and once we receive assessments from MPAC, we generate the tax bills. We were given, 3 years of reassessment all at once, going back to 2013. So therefore, there were 3 bills sent out with all due dates in 2015, I believe, 2016. I don't have the exact notes in front of me, but there were 2 due dates, but interest was charged only after those due dates had passed for anything that wasn't paid, and that is the policy
Okay,
for any property taxes.
okay, and just a question. So, so the tax bills were sent out, and interest didn't accumulate until after the bills had been received?
The first of the month after the due date of the payment.
And that was after the bills had been received, right?
The bills should have been received, yes.
Okay,
We have to give them at least 21 days before the due date.
okay.
They should get the bills.
So, and then, in terms of the value of the property, is that, I know the answer to this question, but is that our township who sets a value of a property, or is that someone else?
That is done by MPAC.
And
And they
that's-
they get building permit information from us, and they follow through and do the assessment based on the building permits.
Okay, and MPAC is the provincial government, correct?
MPAC's a organization of the provincial government, yes.
Okay. Is there any questions from council to Sue? Go ahead, Gord.
Thank you. Through you. Sue, so they had the fire in July 2010,
Mhm.
correct? Were there any bills sent between then and 16 or 15 or whatever date you said?
There were bills because there would still be the land.
Right. So where were they going to if
The same address we've always been sending them to.
So were
As
they-
far as I know, we have not received any returned mail.
Okay. So I'm just wondering if they weren't in the property and the bills are being sent there, were they getting them, I guess was my question, but you're saying they weren't returned, so.
The mail isn't delivered
I'm
directly?
just trying to figure out the logistics of how these things were served and were they
Yeah.
picked up in time and that sort of thing, right? So, okay, thank you.
Okay. Any? Oh, go ahead, Bruce? No? Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Sue. Is it the will of council to do anything on this, or do we want to leave it as is? Bruce, do you want to?
My only suggestion would be, with the amount that's owed, so I think just need to clarify that when a meeting was held with Saber in April, the total amount owed was just over $58,000, and he was able to, as he said, made a payment for $30,000. So at April, the current balance was between $28,000 and $29,000. My suggestion is that we don't waive the penalty and interest, that we would just work with them to establish a payment plan in order to get that balance down to zero.
Okay.
Now, it needs to be clear that until it gets to zero, interest charges continue. It's just like your Visa bill. You're paying it down, but the interest charges would still accumulate until it gets it paid off.
Okay. Just one question on penalties. What is if it takes, Saber, say, 12 months to pay this off, I understand interest charges. Is there a penalty on top of that?
No, the penalty is an interest, one and the
Okay.
same, 1.25% of whatever is outstanding
Per,
month.
okay.
And just to be clear that, when there was the reassessments done, as Saber mentioned, he'd gone to MPAC to get lowered assessments. We did reverse any penalty related to those adjustments. So there was some penalty reversed.
Okay.
It was only in relation to the adjustments.
Okay. Right.
To your point, Mayor Dave, I don't think there's even a motion necessary. We have a process in play now. It's the policy that, when taxes are owed like this, that we would work with the individual to establish a payment plan to get caught up.
Yep.
So nothing changes.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Sue. Yeah, so correspondence item is 218. Could someone, give me a motion on 218 to receive it for information? So Pam and Bruce, all in favor? That's carried. Thank you very much. Now, I think what we should do is we should bring up, bring up Brenda and, Danica for a moment. We'll do this now. Do you need a quarter spice? Hello. Hi, Danica. How are you?
I'm good.
That's good. Here, I'm going to pass the mic to you. You can
All
explain
right, and I'll give you
the
that,
amazing
too.
things this young woman has done. Thanks very
Okay.
much. So please close to your...
Yep. It takes 3 years to go through the Pathfinder program, and in doing so, you have to achieve certain things. One of them would be service, the other would be camping, and another one is to finish your program. In the 3 years, there is a lot of work to do in order to complete this. Danica has made us very proud in that she has done this, as well as she also is receiving her service award as well, because she has attained that as well.
Amazing.
So, this is her Canada Cord, and it's the highest award for Pathfinders that you can give. So, congratulations. Congratulations.
Can I put your phone in there? There you are. Congratulations. You know what? Can I jump in for a second? Danica, you're a great example of what young people can do in Uxbridge, and thank you for all your service. We really appreciate it, and keep it up.
Thank you.
Now that you've got this medal, you're going to keep going? Like, in terms of service to our community?
For sure. I will definitely continue to do service and help out our community.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Okay, thanks, everyone. Okay. Next on the agenda, we've got Simon, and he's going to talk about, planning. Sorry. I'm going to adjourn this meeting, pass it to Councillor Hyatt. Recess this meeting, pass it to Councillor Hyatt.
Thank you, Mayor Barton, and I'm going to call to order this Planning and Economic Development Committee meeting and ask if there's any disclosures of pecuniary interest or general nature thereof. None? Oh, sorry. Yep.
Simon, we have a planning meeting that has to start at 7:30, so you're going to have to transfer by 15 minutes. Sorry about that. Thanks. Go ahead.
Okay, any disclosures? None? Okay. Where did I get my thing here? This is a statutory public planning meeting which is being held pursuant to the Planning Act to consider an application by Kennedy Self on behalf of Alan and Susan Pleward for zoning bylaw amendment 2019-03. The purpose and effect of this application is to amend the zoning bylaw to permit the construction of a new single-family dwelling and garage. The subject property is designated major open space areas in the region of Durham, official plan and zone shoreline residential, exception number 2, an environmental protection zone in township zoning bylaw number 81-19. The subject property is located south of Ravenshoe Road between Concession Road 6 and Concession Road 7, having the municipal address of 27 Nicholson Drive, and is legally described as part of Lot 34, Lot 15, Plan 733, Concession 6, Township of Uxbridge. The Planning Act governs the giving of public notice at various steps in the application process which the township must comply with. Any person may attend a public meeting and make representations in response to the proposed development. All information including personal information, opinions, presentations, reports, documentation, etc., provided for or at a public meeting are considered public records pursuant to Section 27 of the Municipal Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act. This information may be posted on the Township of Uxbridge website and or made available to the public upon request. Questions about this collection should be directed to the Director of Legislative Services Clerk, Debbie LaRue, at 51 Toronto Street South, P.O. Box 190, Uxbridge, Ontario, L9P1T1, or by calling the Clerk's Department at 905-852-9181, extension 228. The Township often receives requests for notification above and beyond what is required by the Planning Act. The Clerk's Department does not have the resources to respond to these requests, especially where the requests are general in nature. Therefore, if a request for notification is received by the Clerk's Department, they will notify persons as required by the Planning Act. In addition, persons will be notified of any council meeting in which it is proposed that a decision will be made by council on an active matter and no other notification will be given. The Township has made available other ways in which residents may keep themselves aware of matters being considered by council. These include calling your ward councillor, checking the Township website at www.town.uxbridge.on.ca, by reading committee and council agendas, which are usually available in the Clerk's Department at Town Hall by no later than the Friday prior to a committee or council meeting, or by calling the Clerk's Department to inquire as to the status. Thank you for your cooperation and your understanding. So what we'll do this evening is we'll have the applicant give us a brief presentation on what they're planning to do. We will then open it up to questions from committee, and then we'll open it up to questions from the floor. So, Mr. Sulphur, are you presenting this evening? Yep. You can go to the desk or the podium, whichever you're more comfortable with. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of council, staff. My name's Kennedy Self. I live at 42 Balsam Street North in Uxbridge. And with me is Susan Plord, and Alan is here as well, right there. They essentially purchased, which is approximately 0.45 acres. The parcel fronts on the east side of Nicholson Drive, while the eastern portion fronts on to the Pepperlaw River. What they propose to do is quite simple. They bought a piece of property that has a number of buildings and outbuildings, but there's an existing dwelling there that's very small. And their objective in the long run is to build a house, have a house that has at least a bedroom and a bathroom, plus some other space. So they're building about 505 square feet. Susan's had plenty of discussions with her architect and the LSRCA, and the LSRCA is to the point now where, assuming we're successful in getting it rezoned, they'll issue a permit and go through the permit process with them. As far as all the elements that one must satisfy from a planning point of view, the provincial policy statement, the Greenbelt plan, the Durham Region official plan, your own official plan, I am satisfied that I've submitted a report, and there was an issue with the LSRCA because I made a mistake, but I've corrected that, and I got a letter from them saying that they're okay now and they'll deal with them through the permit process. But and from my point of view, it does meet all relevant provincial planning legislation. And the reason they need a rezoning is because they're in an exception zone. Part of the property is zoned EP, but they're in a shoreline residential zone that essentially says you can't do anything on the property other than what's there. So they need to get another exception made to say that they can build this 505 square foot dwelling. That's essentially the element of their rezoning. There is no issues with Durham staff. There is no issues now with Lake Simcoe Conservation Authority. The error I made is when I did my first report, I assumed that Nicholson Drive was in the hamlet of Eudora. It's not. So I was quoting the wrong sections of the Provincial Policy Act and the Durham Region Official Plan. I've corrected that with them, and I believe you have the corrected report in front of you. So essentially, that is what they're doing. If you have any questions, I'm sure we'd be glad to answer them, but that is essentially the short and simple of this rezoning application.
Okay, thank you. Questions from committee? Oh, sorry, Gary, go ahead. Put your mic.
I was under the impression that Nicholson was on the floodplain.
Portions of it are, yes.
Then, if they're on a floodplain, I didn't think that you could get a building permit.
Yes, you can. I'm going to correct you a little. Nicholson Drive does have a lot of shoreline residential zoning on it. The portions against the river are zoned EP. They're building well towards Nicholson Drive, and they've gone through the process with Lake Simcoe to make sure that they meet the requirements of the floodplain. But you can build, you just have to go through a process. Susan's been at that process with them for 2 years, with their architect, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
We've gone through 3 sets of drawings through the...
So you can build on a floodplain, you're saying?
Yes. Well, that is why we're requesting rezoning, so that it actually is moved closer to the road, away from the water, into the middle of the property. Because right now, we're about maybe 5-6 feet from the neighbors.
To answer your question, we're not building in the floodplain. We're not building in the EP zone.
No, but I thought that Nicholson Drive was on the floodplain.
Portions of it are.
Yeah.
If you look at the zoning bylaw, the EP zone is in the zoning is not.
Okay.
Any other members of committee? Councillor Beach.
Yes, now, just to be clear, because I'm not sure, the existing dwelling, you're adding on to it or creating a new dwelling?
Creating a new dwelling in a different spot, closer to the road, away from the river.
Okay,
We
thank
have
you.
some drawings on the bulletin board.
We'd love
here,
to
if
see
you'd
them,
like
at
to
least
see
I
them.
would, and I know Councillor Snooks would.
Yeah.
Actually, Councillor Beach, Lake Simcoe is requiring them to tear down all existing structures.
That was good.
They're essentially cleaning up the property, is what they're doing.
Is there a limit on the size of the building they can build? 500 feet seems like a pretty small house.
Yeah, our current house was 332 square feet, and they said we could go 150%, which came to roughly the 504 square feet, plus a garage
Right.
included on that.
I'm not aware of any minimum, if that's your question.
Our clerk's
No.
gonna put your schematic up there.
Well, don't we have a minimum at this point of size you can build?
I'm sorry?
I thought that we had a minimum of...
Minimum size dwelling?
Yeah.
I'll defer to your planning consultant, but, no, not in the zoning, no.
Liz, do you want to comment? No? Okay, she's shaking her head.
No?
I'm sorry? I hope
Councillor-
so.
Mayor Barton, do you have a question? Mr. Kaplan? Any other members of committee, any questions? So I'll open it up to the public. Anyone in the public have any questions? Comments? Going once? Twice? Okay, I'm going to give 7 days for comments. So any persons wishing to make oral or written submissions on the subject report should give their name, address, and postal code to the clerk. And do so before leaving this evening. Are there sign-up sheets? On the reception desk outside, if you want to be kept informed, please sign the sheets before you leave this evening. Is there any other business? There being none, I will adjourn. Thank you all. Thank you, Mr. Saul. And I will revert to Mayor Barton for the remainder of our meeting.
Excellent, thanks. I just have to get back to the right page. All right. So Simon, if you want to come back up now, we will change the screen and you'll be good to go. Thanks. Yeah, still 10 minutes. But if you could make it 9, we'd be happy. Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Excellent. Thanks, Simon.
I would like to thank the Chair, the Township of Uxbridge, Council, and Mayor Dave Barton for allowing me the opportunity to present this evening. And Catalina, we haven't had a chance to work together, but I wish you all the best in your future endeavors. So my name is Sami Nasser, and I'm the co-owner of the property located at 5560 Highway 47, which I jointly own with my brother-in-law, Tony Rashid. Before we get started with the presentation, I want you to get to know a little about me. I have over 13 years of experience in procurement, strategic sourcing, and contract negotiations. Prior to funding my boutique management consulting firm, I held various senior procurement positions in the private sector, such as IBM and Loblaws head office. I've also started my career with the federal government. I've worked for the provincial government, and most recently I've worked and consulted for the broader public sector. I don't know if I want to mention this today based on some previous discussions, but or do I want to admit to this, but I was the head of the procurement department at the Municipal Property Assessment Corporation, so please don't hold that against me. And most recently, and for a 5-year period, I was the lead procurement consultant assisting the Ontario Lottery and Gaming Corporation, so the OLG, under a high-profile land-based gaming modernization project. So it's evident from my experience that I am well-versed with government operations, relations, and in working in heavily regulated environments and industries. My brother-in-law and property co-owner, Tony Rashid, is a 23-year law enforcement veteran and has been an inspirational and motivating factor that got me involved in the cannabis space. Like many honorable law enforcement, first responders, and military personnel, Tony suffers from acute PTSD caused by his many years on the job. As one can imagine, a so-called bad day in our respective cushy office jobs pales in comparison to what these brave men and women have to endure on a daily basis. For years, Tony struggled and was prescribed many conventional medications that unfortunately came with a variety of side effects. However, it wasn't until he was introduced to medical cannabis that he started his path to recovery and normalcy. As a witness to successful rehabilitation, I became a strong advocate for medical marijuana as an alternative to conventional medicine. Not to sound cliche, but I became a true believer. However, the current prescription-based model where doctors with minimal to no knowledge of medical marijuana are simply writing prescriptions for patients to go and purchase marijuana products on their own is not sustainable, as there's no definitive way of actually monitoring the dosage / administration of such drug products. The prescription and administration process is primitive, and without accurate dosage, there is no definite way that a patient can ensure that they are in fact consuming the correct prescribed amount of cannabis, so, CBD versus THC. So it became reliable dosage is through research and development, real science and testing. Through this realization, and with the help of strategic partners, Norton Spears Bioscience Group was born. With a laser-focused vision on leveraging the Canadian reputation, experience, and first-mover advantage to become the global leader in the standardization, preparation, and formulation of advanced proprietary cannabinoid delivery methods and products. This will be achieved through enhanced research and development, including an unequivocal commitment to quality and adherence to all industry regulations and laws. Although we will be cultivating very minimal high-quality marijuana plants, the primary focus is not on becoming a commodity-based cultivation company / licensed producer. Instead, our goal is to be a leading vertically integrated R&D and standardization company within the cannabis industry. For greater certainty, we are a science-based R&D company, and cannabis cultivation does not represent a major component of our operations. In other words, we have no intention on becoming super growers. The primary reason we are applying to become a licensed producer is simply due to the fact that such a license is required to work with cannabis. Cannabis legalization leads to increased economic activity and the creation of new local small businesses, result in job growth and increased tax revenues. The Canadian cannabis economy is strong and will continue to grow, thereby increasing the benefits to local economies. although a few municipalities such as Edmonton, Aurora, and Smiths Falls, Tweed, or Canopy Growth, have become well known for cannabis cultivation, there's a great and unique opportunity for the Township of Uxbridge to as the first Canadian hub for cannabis research and development. Uxbridge is well positioned to do so. All of the skills, talent, and motivation required are already here. However, there are some obvious obstacles to growth, and this is the primary reason I'm standing here in front of you today. Current township marijuana bylaws are extremely excessive and restrictive. They do not align with industry standards and act as a deterrent to existing and prospective cannabis companies looking to potentially establish a strong base in the township. Many municipalities have greatly benefited from the cannabis industry, and we want to replicate this such success in Uxbridge. So I know it's not full time, I'm just going to skip through some of the slides, but you already spoke about the vision. So the team, I am the CEO and founder of the company. We also have Dr. Joseph Schwartz and Dr. Michael Westbier. They're our chief scientist and VP of Quality Assurance and Pharmacology. They're actually well versed in cannabinoids, and they've been working with cannabis for over 25 years through their research and development activities in Israel. And if you know anything about Israel in regards to research and development with cannabis, they're at the leading edge at this point in time. We also have our Director of Pharmaceutical and Biosciences, Aram Turikyan, and Thomas Dolecki, who is our master grower. Again, we have a master grower because we do grow for research and development opportunities, but we are not in any way, shape, or form looking to be master growers. I'm going to skip through this. This is the science. What you need to understand is that we focus on nanotechnology to ensure that we could accurately, safely, and ensure that the right amount of prescribed cannabis or cannabinoids are actually administered to the body. So basic nanotechnology is just making things small so that they get absorbed faster, which gives an increased intake time and faster outtake time. So again, we understand regulation, and we have formulation development experts. Again, I'm going to skip through this. These are the main things we're focusing on: oil extraction, nanotechnology. Please feel free to read it. Also, although we talk a lot about recreational and medical marijuana, in reality, it's the same thing. It's just how you get it. Medical, you need a prescription from a doctor. Recreational, you can go to the store online and buy it. However, they come from the exact same source, and there's absolutely no difference in where it's grown. It's just how you get it. And to be honest, at this point in time, until October 2019, it's the same products, because there's no edibles are not yet permitted. We have patent technology. Again, I'll skip through this, but it is actually very unique in the industry, and it's very beneficial to us. And we're specifically proud of our cannabinoid methodology for the delivery in beverages. So that's our big focus right now. Again, I already talked about this. We're looking to be, an R&D company and not a grower. I think you guys have heard enough about the cannabis space and how big it is. I mean, you've seen these probably many times before. You're looking at, $5.6 billion industry. Again, the numbers speak for themselves. If you're aware, legalization came into effect for the actual for the recreational as of last October. However, our main focus has not been on that. It's been on what's coming October 2019, which is the legalization phase 2, which is in the edible market space and product development. It is not on the cultivating what everybody was focusing on, and you heard about a lot last year. We're vertically integrated, and again, that's why we need to grow. Which vertical integration basically means that we want to control our supply chain. So we want to be able to have our own product for extraction and R&D purposes. And again, that's why we were looking to cultivate. So the reason I'm here today is the zoning that's currently in existence right now. As you can see, it's pretty excessive. The minimum lot size is 100 acres, and you have to be within 300 meters from lot line to lot line. I'm not sure if you guys have done any research on this, but if you look at how restrictive that is, I'm pretty sure there's a very minimal amount of properties that fall within this space. 100 acres, that's a big property, and I'm not sure how many people could actually afford to do so for the size of property that you get, the size of facility you guys are allowing as well on there, which is pretty small. However, what we're proposing is that to change the bylaw to make it less restrictive. And one of the first ways to look at it is through the micro-cultivation. I don't know if you guys have heard of micro-cultivation, but this is basically a government, it's through the HCPR, and in contrast to the LP, the ones that you heard about, it actually limits the size of how much you could grow. So the square footage of the maximum size you could grow is 200 square meters, and that's equivalent to 2,153 square feet for a maximum kilogram of cannabis plant materials per year of 600 kilograms. So again, this is a very small footprint, and just to show you how it looks like, the micro-license operation looks like what you see on top. It's just basically a room with a few plants, as opposed to the master growers, which is greenhouse after greenhouse after greenhouse of hundreds of thousands of square feet. Again, I mean, in regards to the micro-license, there are some benefits to prevent the monopolization of the industry by large publicly traded companies and to prevent illicit production of diminished the so-called black market. The small scale of the micro-license operation are appropriate for rural residential and general agricultural lands. The manner in which cannabis can be propagated, cultivated, and processed also makes these operations appropriate for industrial and commercial zoning. So what we would like is, the most reasonable starting point for the township would be to amend and expand the zoning bylaws to permit small-scale propagation and micro-licensing cultivation and processing on all RU-zoned properties.
Simon, just so you're aware, you're out of time.
Okay, sorry. So sorry, there's lots to cover, but the main point is that we have a 10-acre property, and we're just looking to put we have an existing 3,000 square foot facility that's been there since 1979. We're just looking to be able to work with cannabis within that space, and we're just asking for the municipality to please to look into the zoning to allow companies such as ours to help benefit the community by allowing us to submit a license application for a micro grow within our existing facility.
Okay. So let's start out. Any questions? Oh, yeah, that's allowed. Go ahead.
Yeah, so this is this is the existing facility right now that we're talking about, and that's our 10-acre property. Eventually, once permission is full, we would like to do a 20,000 square foot production facility non-cultivation. However, for now, what I'm here for is to get permission to submit an LP application for our current footprint. We're not adding to it, we're not expanding it, we just want to be able to use our existing facility to be able to work with cannabis and conduct farms, research development.
Okay.
You'll here we have also access to the road here we have access to, and I met with Ingrid, and we talked with Wayne Buckingham, our neighbor in the back, and we're working on making this accessible to those going forward. So that aspect of security.
Okay. Couple questions from me before we start. So we talked about land division last time we met in regards to the driveway. Have you and Wayne moved forward with that?
Yeah, we moved forward. We went to Durham Region, and we're in the process right now of putting in the applications to officially divide the property, the 66 feet, to divide that equally. So we both have it's no longer a right-of-way, it's more or less like a shared space.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Great,
working.
that's good to hear.
Yeah, working really well with Wayne on that.
Excellent. Okay, any questions from council on this? Go ahead, Gord.
Just a couple, but they're to Liz. I know you're here. You didn't come here for nothing, so. When we did the original bylaw for cannabis operations, was the micro-licensing part of that initial piece? Or did we contemplate that at the time?
No, it was not.
It was
Yeah,
not.
so micro is new actually. It's just very recent.
And could you, for the new council, Liz, speak to some of the rationale of why we came up with the protocol that we did?
There were a number of issues. We were in fact dealing with a specific application, but as a result of that, there were a number of issues raised, and those were confirmed when we had another application on a smaller site, and it became very apparent that there were concerns with traffic, there was concerns with odors, there was concern with other impacts, lights, security, all of those things. So as a result of the experience with the two applications, we developed the general regulations that are in place today.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions from council? Ben? Oh, sorry, Gary, you can go next. Go ahead, Peg.
Just a question, because there is presently a 3,000 square foot facility that's growing marijuana?
All right, now, no.
Oh, okay.
No, so it's been built out. It's been retrofitted, but there's no activities right now.
Okay, because in that area, I know that there was a number of residents that were complaining about the odor in the area already.
Yeah, so that's most likely due to people actually enjoying it on our property. I'm just being honest. But there are licenses for grow. We do have licenses for personal use. We're not utilizing it to the full potential at this point in time. When we first got the property, we had over 2,000, the capability to do 2,000 plants. We have not done that. And that's in fairness to the municipality, and we were fully transparent. I've been talking to Ingrid now for almost 2 years now based on this, and they're well aware of what our intentions were from day one.
Okay, I'm just, I guess, not comfortable because of the neighboring people.
Yeah, so again, there's gonna be activities in the barn, it's almost 250 feet away from any other residential dwelling. It's actually 273, I believe, from lot line, from the barn property. And also, when you're conducting R&D activities, you're working with powders, or you're working with distillates, and those do not emit any type of odor.
Okay, any other questions? Gary, do you still have a question?
Yes, well, you're aware that hundreds of licenses have been issued in Canada.
Yep.
Do you think you're a little bit late to the party?
Again, as per my presentation, those licenses you're speaking to are primarily for licensed producers that are interested in cultivating. There's one in Barrie that's just for extraction, and we're more in line with that, where we're not looking to grow. And if I don't have to grow, I will not grow. Our main thing is to be able to do product development and develop products for the edible market space.
So you don't plan to grow?
If there's a big issue with the growing, we do not have to grow. There's other ways of getting the product.
So you would
we would buy from other licensed
existing
producers.
Growers.
Yes, from licensed producers.
In order to make your CBD or whatever.
Yeah, for example, the extraction, for example. I mean, that's as a facility. And I didn't show you the slide, but even though we're allowed 200, and the micro allowed 2,000 square feet, we would only be utilizing right now 1,000 square feet. And that's very minimal amount of plants. It would not be enough to sustain a proper extraction facility, for example, or R&D facilities. It's more for vertical integration to be able to control our product to a certain extent, and to check what are the best strains to use for the products.
Okay, go ahead, Todd.
Just so I'm clarifying this in my own head, you're a science facility. We're using marijuana in order to look at the market that's coming, specific to edibles. And all your products are going to be medical-based, not recreational-based?
No, they could be either or, but for the one in October, some of the products that we're focusing on, for example, beverages, that would fall under the category of what's it called, the recreational. However, it could be also used for medical, depending on the THC content, but it's not specific to medical or recreational. No, it's a little confusing because the way the government has talked about it, but right now everybody's creating recreational products. It's the same, as of today, it's the same as medical, because you're not allowed edibles as of yet. So right now, there's no such thing as illegal edibles in the marketplace. So so what I'm trying to get to is that it's basically, it's science for both. We could do capsules for the medical, but we are focused on the phase 2, which is recreational. And just so you know, we are formulating right now in Israel. So we are moving forward. We are doing what we need to do in regards to get the formulations. Is just we're looking for access to be able to start doing some of our research and development in Canada.
Okay. If there's no, sorry.
Just a quick one, I should have mentioned it earlier. How long have you owned that property?
Almost 2 years.
2 years? that laneway that's on the, I guess, the south end, does that go back to that art gallery
Yeah.
place?
Yes.
That's where that is?
That's Wayne Buckingham's, yeah.
Buckingham, all right.
And he's well aware of our plans, and we've been working together
Okay.
again to
I'm just
figure out.
trying to get my bearings as to where
Yeah,
that's at.
that goes all the way. I think it's like 700 meters or
Right,
almost
right.
a kilometer up the road.
Up
yeah.
the hill,
Past
yeah.
the
Right.
there's the train tracks as well in the back
Thank
there.
you.
Okay. So, Liz, can I ask you a quick question? If council wished to pursue this, what would be our next step?
So, I'd just like to reframe your question.
Sure, you
because
can put
it's
words in my
not-
mouth if you'd like.
It's not the township's responsibility to pursue this.
Okay,
It's
thank
the
you.
applicant's, how would the applicant pursue this?
Sure.
The way that the applicant, and I'm calling him that because that's what he would be, has framed it, he appears to want you to make a general change to the zoning bylaw to permit this everywhere.
Yep.
I would suggest to you that based on the concerns that we had identified for us with the other types of operation, sounds sort of like a new take on it. That's fine, but we don't really know what the concerns may be with this. So I think it would be premature, nor should I think the township would want to take the responsibility to allow this everywhere in the township. However, what I would say is that the applicant should make an application for rezoning for this site and present his case and his background, and the township can then evaluate that application and rezone if they think it's appropriate for the particular nature of this use.
And thanks for that, Liz. And Simon, just so you know, and I think we spoke about this the last time we met outside of Chambers.
Yes.
We've had some big issues with cannabis grown in our municipality, where it's on a 10-acre lot close to residential like yours is. There's been some issues with odors, with criminal activity that was pretty severe. And we will be walking very slowly, I would guess, on this. We have some major concerns. I understand, I'm pro-business in many, many ways. I'm struggling a bit. But my advice to you would be to work through a zoning process.
Sure.
Knowing that the things that we're concerned about are criminal activity, odors, traffic, those, like every other issue we see. Be aware of those and decide if you want to move forward or not. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody, appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
Appreciate it. Okay. Now we've got Melanie and Ryan talking about their property on 2nd Avenue. Come on up, guys. And you can go to the podium or the table, whichever you choose.
So we do also have a PowerPoint that we sent. Okay. Thanks.
Good evening, Council. My name is Ryan Bainham. This is my wife, Melanie Bainham. We're new residents to Uxbridge. We purchased a home at 98 2nd Avenue in Uxbridge, November 30th, 2018. So thanks for having us in tonight. We're recently a married couple, and we're looking at Uxbridge as a home and growing in the community. Already in the community somewhat, helping out with some hockey-related things, and maybe a few you're thinking about tonight getting home to watch the Stanley Cup. So we try not to take up too much time. Yeah, we've only heard good things about Uxbridge, and we're here to talk about purchasing a parcel, as the slide says there. And we're originally from the London, Ontario area. We lived downtown Toronto for the last 3 years, and we've migrated out here to Uxbridge. Melanie's family has a cottage up in the Kawarthas, and it just makes sense with working and living and, I guess, the family life. But I'll hand it over to Melanie, and she's going to talk about some of the other particulars.
Okay, so again, thanks for having us. I know that this issue has come before council, I don't know how many times before, but quite a few. So we do appreciate you taking the time to hear us out once again. Just kind of an agenda for our short presentation. We'd like to go over what we're proposing to do, a little bit of the background of the situation for those of you who maybe have come in on the new council and whatnot, and then how maybe this can help the community and hopefully can benefit everyone, and both parties are happy in being able to move forward. So our proposal, when we purchased 98 2nd Avenue, which you can see which fronts onto 2nd Avenue, obviously, it's kind of an odd-shaped lot, and the back part of the property is currently landlocked. So there's our proposal, and it was also the previous owner's proposal, Mrs. Marianne Meek, was to purchase a parcel of land from the township in order to build a driveway to allow us access into the back part of our property, at which point we would hopefully be able to sever the two lots and build a home on the proposed lot portion of the property. So yeah, right now there's not access, and as part of a severance application, we were hoping that we would get the approval or maintain the approval to have be able to purchase that parcel of land. So I won't make everyone read through this, but just a little bit of background on the situation. So when we did purchase the property back in November, part of our offer was to be able to do some due diligence to see about whether or not this would be an opportunity. And we came to find out that a lot of the steps had been taken by the previous owner to get this approval for the purchasing of a parcel of land in order to make up part of her application for severance to the region. So again, it was communicated to us that this approval had been granted by the township. I then did some more digging and some more research in talking with the Lake Simcoe Conservation Authority and various departments at the region, the planning department, the works department, etc., to make sure that their position on the proposal hadn't changed, which it hadn't at that point. The region did mention that there is an easement that would have to remain in favor of the region due to sewer infrastructure that does go under that parcel of land that we would purchase or want to purchase for a driveway. Again, we're not exactly sure where that lies with regards to the proposed parcel, but that is definitely a concern. And then there was also some confusion, I guess, around how this parcel of land that we'd like to purchase is zoned. So I'm not sure kind of where that ended up in Mrs. Meek's process with council, but that came up in kind of my research and due diligence in the midst of our purchase offer on the property. So this, again, just to support some of the background, when we did go into the property to look at it and purchase it, this was the old survey that we were given. I do understand that this is from the 60s, so is a little bit out of date, but you can kind of see where our head was at in determining about or seeing whether or not this would be an opportunity for us to build a home on the back lot. So before we get into some of the, I know, issues and concerns that have been raised by council in the past, we do think that there would be some benefits to allowing us to build a home in this area. Not only would we be able to support local businesses and construction trades, in a main and old part of town, a main residential area, but it would also create ongoing property tax revenue for the township, permit revenue for the township, and it would allow us to be able to remain in the community and hopefully raise a family in our forever home. We also think that the sale of this parcel could contribute to some of township's other major projects, recreational projects that are on the go. I'll talk about in a minute, but this certain parcel that we would need for the driveway isn't being used as parkland right now, even though it's technically part of a larger parkland part. But we just think that this sale could maybe help contribute to and help fund some other ongoing projects. Additionally, it would also adhere to both municipal and provincial planning policies of intensification, which is a huge, I don't want to say issue, but it's definitely something that it could contribute towards. And we just, I guess, have, this goes kind of into our next conversation of concerns or questions, but this has been approved by council in the past, and so we're wondering about how the expiry of the approval occurs and how we could move forward with that. So, like I've already mentioned, there are a number of concerns that we understand need to be addressed head on. The one being the regional easement, obviously is a big concern about whether or not the region would ever need access to our only access to the property. So I guess in part of our research, we'd like to see where do those lines lay, I guess, in terms of what access they would need to the parcel. It's also a concern that, you know, building a home and having a driveway beside another existing property would disrupt our neighbors. We're very aware of that fact and don't wish to put a strain on any relationships with our new neighbors who we are getting along with great right now. But we do hope that in building a home, like in other parts of the neighborhood, it would be a nuisance that is short in duration for you know, ongoing benefit. And just on that note, in speaking with our neighbors, I've had a lot of correspondence with a few members on council, and it was mentioned to me that if we could get support from our neighbors, it would probably help us in coming before you again today. So we hemmed and hawed a lot about how to approach that subject and whether or not to do it. Ahead of today's meeting, we decided not to speak with our neighbors about our proposal, as we didn't want to potentially strain new relationships based on a hypothetical situation. Of course, if we do get, you know, approval to move forward, we're happy to do that, but we do think we might be getting ahead of ourselves in that respect, and we also are not sure what the previous owner had disclosed to the neighbors in her due diligence and research as well. And then, of course, we know that it's a concern of councils about selling parkland. While I understand that this is part of parkland, it is, you know, a few hundred meters away from the area of the parkland that people use for the trails and that kids toboggan down in the winter. So we don't think that in getting this parcel, it would interrupt the use of the parkland as it stands today. So I hope I haven't gone too long, but basically we're just hoping that we can leave here today with a memorandum of understanding, in that we can all know where we stand forward. We do really think that there's some opportunity here and some long-term community benefits, and so we're thankful that you are open to hearing us today and have a discussion about it. So, thank you. Any questions?
Thank you very much. So, any questions to start off with? It's your ward, Bruce. Do you have any?
Well, thank you both for coming in, and I know it's a stressful thing to do, and you did a great job of putting the presentation together. I can explain, and you know, Dave or Gord, if you can, about a decision made. Maybe we'll address that one first. So originally the intent was not to sell this strip. Then it was proposed, and I think you tabled it, Dave, to call a vote on it. It got approved.
How about I go through it?
Sure, you do it first. Yeah.
So early in my first term, Marianne Meek came in and asked for this severance. The council of the day seemed to support it in principle and asked her to move forward with doing research on it, and she did a lot of research. And then she came back after doing a fair bit of research, and council's opinion was the vibe of council that day was to turn it down. I spoke fairly loudly and stated if we support it in principle in the beginning, she did a bunch of work for a couple years, and then we were turning it down. I felt that was unfair to her, and I suggested that if we agreed to it then, we should probably agree to it now. Mrs. Meek decided not to go through with that and decided to move into a condo, and now we're here. And so, now, in general, this is right beside a path that kids use on the trail system. It's going to disturb a couple neighbors. Cuts off back, it's probably 3 neighbors. I don't think it's ideal that we move forward with it. I think we probably made a mistake with Mrs. Meek and letting her move forward the first time. But let's see what council decide now. It's up to us.
I'll just say then...
Oh, and Debbie can speak too.
Sorry?
You might want Debbie to speak to it.
Go ahead, then.
Oh, no, okay.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Good?
Yeah. Do you want to speak?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, in terms of the agreement, there was no actual written agreement. It was an agreement, council decided, I did prepare a report, recommended that council not proceed with severing the parcel of parkland. At the time, council decided that we would proceed. In terms of an expiry, there really was no expiry, it was that approval was given to Marianne Meek. When I brought it forward for, after the purchase of the property, I brought forward a report advising council of what the current situation had been, and council agreed at that time, or decided not to support what had been previously approved for Marianne Meek. So that's why we are here today.
Okay, thanks for the history. I just think back to the commitments I made while campaigning, and one of them was protect green space during residential and parks planning. So that's why I've taken the position, and during the correspondences and so on, to be able to say, my concern is, I get the piece of property you're talking about, go past it all the time, it's not a heavily traveled area, but it's still part of the park. It still connects where people are to play and walk and so on. And from that perspective, I'm concerned, it's almost like one of the discussions we had earlier tonight of, well, you did it for them. And I know that's never fair to the person who first hears it, but then we start to open up that opportunity of saying, well, let's do it here and let's do it there. So my general position is that the parklands that we have are precious and that we should maintain them.
Oops, sorry about that. So, from council's perspective, if we make a motion here, it would mean that we wanted to look at this thing again. So if there's no one making a motion, then I would assume that we don't want to move forward.
So before, can I just maybe interrupt quickly and ask, like, I understand the position in the selling of parkland, and I also understand that the approval was given to Mrs. Meek, but, and I have stated in my correspondence with some members of council as well, is we're struggling to understand why the approval doesn't uphold and why it expired with the sale of the property, because that's what's been communicated to us. If there were hesitations on the part of the council while Mrs. Meek was going through the process, unfortunately, that wasn't communicated to us in our due diligence, and that's no one's fault here, but obviously we're maybe a little bit misled in that respect. So I guess we're just trying to understand really the timing of everything and really why a decision made, even if maybe it was a mistake, it wouldn't be upheld for the next resident.
Okay, from Deb, from a clerk's perspective, do you want to explain that, or just typically these things, how do these agreements typically go?
So again, it wasn't necessarily that the approval expired. The approval was given to Mrs. Meek at the time when I brought it forward for council's consideration, advising that this was the history, this was the situation. Council they didn't want to proceed with it, so that was a change in direction from what the previous council had approved. So that's basically the position we have right now, is that it wasn't to be approved. Council changed their mind. It was a new council. Council of the previous council had agreed to it, but the new council did not.
Okay, anything else from?
Sorry, and,
Oh,
sorry, just, sorry to follow up. My original recommendation was to not approve it, but council of the day in 2018 did not agree with my report. The new council agreed with the suggestions I had made originally.
Councilor Pop.
So, rephrasing it perhaps a different way, then, I think what Madam Clerk is saying is that the council as ownership at one point thought that they'd be willing to move forward in the sale of the property. And then when it came back around a second time, at that time we were no longer interested. Is that basically what is being said?
Okay.
Just a point of clarification. Was the sale conditional on them getting their approvals at Land Division as well, right? If they, I think the council at the time said we're willing to sell it as a means for them to go through the process of Land Division, and if they weren't successful at Land Division, then the sale wouldn't take place. Is that right?
The sale of the land would be as part of the process through Land Division. If the lot was not severed, we would not proceed.
And with that, you cannot sever that lot without having access. That piece of property is the only way that that property can be severed.
Okay. Todd, do you have a question or no? Okay. Then turn on your mic.
Just from, and again, I'm a visual person, so I was looking at your drawing, and this is just looking at possibilities of whether there's something. Do you have access to that second parcel of property through the current property?
We do, yeah. So that there is a little opening on the corner. It's kind of an irregular shaped lot in that sense.
Right.
So yeah, we do have access to it from Second Avenue, and we could.
I'm just thinking out loud. Then do you have access through that way as opposed to going through Parkland? It would make your property smaller, the current one.
Yeah. So
because you'd have a driveway running through the back of your property.
Yep.
But I don't know. I'm just.
So that is something
I'm
that we
looking at
have.
the picture going, there's another avenue. Has that even been looked at, or is it possible?
I don't know if it meets the minimums. That's the only thing I can't say. I don't know.
Again, that might be an exemption thing, right? I'm just saying.
Yeah. Okay, so, yeah. Again, if there's a motion here of council wants to do a vote and with an appetite of moving forward with this, obviously I'd support it. If there's no one moving or seconding anything, I think means that we're no longer interested in moving forward with this. Okay? All right. So, sorry guys.
Sorry. No. So
You
in
can-
which case, like, could we explore, because that is, you know, that's something that we've been brainstorming as well, like, what are the other options? Is that something that we could then explore and come back to council with, even though there's a decision to not allow us to move forward with this particular idea?
Yeah, it would, so then you would be looking at another way to get this done.
Yep.
That wouldn't involve us selling property.
Okay.
So that would be something that you'd work through the planning department, I think. So, yeah, you could go downstairs to our building department and discuss that option with them.
Okay.
Okay? Hey, guys, thank you so much for coming in. You did a great job. I'm sorry it wasn't the outcome you were looking for.
Thanks.
No problem. No, there's no motion. Okay. Now, item number correspondence, approval of minutes. Can I get someone to move the minutes? Moved by Todd, seconded by, how about you, Pam? Oh, Bruce, all in favor? That's carried. Next is from Cloca. This is to Sanjay Kehoe, Ministry of the Environment, Conservation and Parks, and Andre Martin, Ministry of the Environment, Conservation and Parks, in regards to their comments on excess soil. What would we like to do with this? Receive? Willie and Bruce?
Yeah,
Willie and
possibly
Bert?
forward to Phil Committee, does that make sense?
Yeah, that
there?
makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, you're fine with that? Okay, all in favor? Carried? Okay, next is item number 208. This is again from Cloca to Alex McLeod from the Ministry of Natural Resources and Fisheries, and this is their comments on the Conservation Authority Development Permits Environmental Registry of Ontario Notice number 013. Okay, what would we like to do with this? Receive. Bruce and Todd, sorry, Gord and Todd, all in favor? Carried. It's been a long day. Okay, item number 209. This is to the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing in regards to the Place to Grow plan. Folks, what would we like to do with this? Gord?
Just a question, I guess, through you to staff and/or Liz, since you're here tonight. Are we planning to do a presentation from council not a presentation, a letter to the province on this whole Places to Grow Act and the revision thereof?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, this is a fait accompli. There is no point in making any comments on it. It is what it is.
Okay. So we're being asked to comment, but not really. Is that what you're saying?
They're not asking you to comment.
Okay.
They're just giving it to you,
There
so
it
you
is.
know.
Okay. Fair enough. Thank you.
Fair enough. And actually, on that note, do you want to receive this then, Gord?
Make that motion, Mr.
Okay,
Mayor.
Gord and Willie, receive, all in favor? Carried. And actually, let's get Liz out of here. Can we move her items up? Liz really wants to leave. Let's go to, Liz, where do we start again for you? It's 8? Oh.
Report D.
Report, okay. So, actually, why don't you drive us through this? You should be speaking more in this meeting. It's your last one. Go ahead, Catalina.
It's report DS 3019 of Elizabeth Housen.
Okay. Okay, folks, any questions for Liz on this one? What page was that on? 80? Yeah, do you want to speak to that, Liz? Yeah, I'm just getting to it now.
I can just briefly speak to this, if you'd like.
Perfect.
This is an application which is being subject to a public meeting, has been through extensive review. As a result of that extensive review, it was modified in response to the comments that had been received. So it started out as a 64-unit townhouse condominium project, common element condominium project on the south side of Brock Street, opposite a similar townhouse proposal on the north side. It has been reduced to 60 units. The units along the south boundary have been changed to bungalow lofts to make a better relationship with the single-family houses to the south. The headwater drainage feature, which was to go down the west side of the property, is now going down the east side of the property and along the south side of the property. That does a couple of things. First of all, it enhances the relationship with the development, the existing development to the south, and it also allows for the snapping turtles, which are a particular species of concern in this area, to more easily move through the property from the east to the stormwater management pond on the west. There's a number of other modifications that have been made, but those are the key ones. And the LSRCA in particular is very pleased with the changes in terms of realigning the headwater drainage feature. And we've put in a number of conditions for the approval, all of which will help meet the concerns of the residents. So we're recommending approval subject to a whole raft of conditions that have to be met before the holding zone is lifted.
Okay. Any questions on this?
I'll just comment.
Oh,
Go ahead, Gary.
go ahead, Gary, you go first.
Yeah, in all these proposed developments, the question of sewage capacity always comes up. Is there...
It's been accounted for, Gary.
It has?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead, Bruce.
This has evolved quite a bit, and we've had both formal meetings, and then right here in the council chambers we had I posted an informal meeting where the builder has come in, or we showed the changes. Nobody wants this coming up in their backyard, but they've been very cordial in the discussions that we've had. We've got some of the folks are here from Brownscombe and from Fox Trail. So the process has gone really well. The builder's actually been really accommodating. The snapping turtle issue was a passion of somebody, made CBC News, right? So that got accommodated. There are enhancements being brought to a couple of the owners that are on Brock Street who are in water, so they've been able to connect, made accommodations for that. The only thing I'll add is, and again, we've got some folks from Fox Trail here now, that they've been very active, and I've met with them individually and had all kinds of discussions about it. I let them know about the meeting tonight, and they had a chance to look at Liz's report and send in some comments. So the only thing, this has now been given to Deb, but there's one change we're going to make. I just need to read this entire paragraph. It started by saying, the owner shall prepare to the satisfaction of the township a landscape plan and tree preservation plan for the site to the satisfaction of the township. It stopped there. What I'd like to add is these words to follow that say, which shall, among other matters, will provide for appropriate fencing along the south and east property lines, giving consideration to input for the adjacent landowners, which will include both Brownscombe and the Fox Trail people. From the adjacent landowners with the fencing and protection of existing trees located on the adjacent properties, including their root systems. David has made it really clear he wants to protect those trees, both for the ones along Fox Trail, and then there's a willow tree that is a passion for one of the owners on Brownscombe, who very much wants this tree. It's a home for all kinds of critters, and she loves this tree. So if it's at all possible, Mr. Sudd has said it costs him a fortune to get those trees down, and he's going to do everything he can to maintain those trees as well. So I didn't even see you sitting there till just then. So with the additional comment that has now been submitted to Deb, I don't have any concerns with the development at all.
Okay. And
sorry, Mr. Mayor, there is a need to, and Debbie can correct me if I'm wrong, or Catalina, to make that a formal recommendation for a change.
Okay.
These are what the council has read is a condition, an existing condition in both the draft plan of subdivision and draft plan of condominium. And what he's proposing is a change to that condition, which reads the same in both. So there's a need, I believe, for a motion to approve with the modification that's proposed to the two conditions.
Okay. Now, Bruce, would you mind adding to that one of the passions of mine is getting kids to and from school in the most direct way possible. I'd like to work with the developer to get an access point directly to the high school in Joseph Gould. Could you add that
Yeah.
wording to your motion?
Yeah, thank you for
'Cause I can't
reminding me
think
of
quickly.
that. So that was one of the additions I was thinking, but didn't just say it. So just add then to work with township to incorporate a trail that would make a more direct route to the two schools in the neighborhood.
Perfect.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so...
And Mr. Mayor, just so you know, that, same suggestion came from the region as well. I didn't specifically identify it, but any development here has to be subject to the approval of the township and region, so I just thought that would get wrapped in to it, but it doesn't, there's no harm in making it clear, but it already was part of, implicit in the conditions.
Okay, perfect, thank you. So...
Okay, so I'll just make a motion then for everything that I just quickly read,
Yep.
and then I'll just add a few words at the end to incorporate a trail, a connection through to Nelkid Avenue.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, and moved by Bruce, seconded by Todd. Yeah, I think first you have to add the amendment, and doesn't he? Does he have to first add the amendment and then move the whole report as amended? Okay. Okay. So how about you give us that first? So move the report as amended?
Can
with your
I
amendments.
perhaps just add something in just
Sure.
to discuss before, and so we don't have to maybe do another motion? Mr. Sud, I believe the day you did your public meeting with everybody, we talked briefly about accessibility and looking at, as we develop the places, to maybe look at some different opportunities, possibly around bathrooms and that sort of things with them, where they could possibly become options. It would be nice as we look at new developments this way to give this a different sort of lens in the community around these things for people who want to stay in their homes a little bit longer and stuff. And if we could add something in on that lens, I think that it would be, I see you there, Maggie. If we could take that lens as well, I think it would be great.
So I'll just speak to that really briefly, if you don't mind. And Mr. Sutton and I spoke about that for his other development with the bungalow loft, as having that as an option in part of the sales pitch. If, by nodding, I would guess that you're fine with us adding that? Excellent. And this would be something that someone purchasing the house would choose to have that option put into the bungalow loft in the back. Okay? Madam Clerk, do we have to add that, or we'll just work on site plan when we do that? Okay. Liz, we'll just work with the developer as he's moving forward? Or should we add that as a condition?
I think you can just deal with them as you move forward. We'll think about it for the next one as to whether there's some wording we can put in, but it's sort of getting into the interior design, and so what we're going to have to play with the wording. So I mean, Mr. Sud has dealt with the township honorably in the past, and I think if he says he'll do something, he'll do it.
Yeah. Liz, it could even go further in that down the road as we think about it, so I'm glad we're thinking about it, because it could be just around the neighborhood as well, right? With how we put things together, to whether it's connectivity or whatever. So I think it's a good idea to kind of look at these pieces as we move forward.
Okay. So, yeah, go ahead, Gordon.
Just a question, I guess, through you to staff. Is there an intent to have an MOU with LSRCA to maintain this new corridor, or are we just going to let it go natural? Is this
Plan
a
of
word?
condominium, right? The corridor is a plan of condominium property? Yeah. So is the plan that the township would assume it? How about no plan at this point for us to maintain it? And I don't think you'll see LSRCA wanting to maintain it.
Well, I can't speak for LSRCA, maybe Dave can, but TRCA now is looking for MOUs for just about anything, because it's outside their scope of core business, whatever that's supposed to be. So if we're being asked to maintain this, I think we need to look into that too, so.
Yeah, how should we move forward with that, Liz, Ingrid?
Well, it raises the question on what is the level of maintenance. That's the question, and it's a loaded question. What is the community expecting it to be? Generally speaking, these corridors are just left natural, and they're not maintained at all. And that's just, they're considered environmental lands. They're not cut, they're not anything. They're just left to do their own thing. no different than that stormwater management pond, which is to the west side. It's basically a stormwater management pond. That's all it's gonna be. It's designed just to have shrubs and just to be left natural.
There is the condition, though, that there be a plan developed for these lands, and so I think we can look at the issue of maintenance as part of that plan, or have as to whether there needs to be any, or if there does, you know, who's responsible for it. I think generally these things are to be left natural, and it's not even like a stormwater management pond where you do have to go in and clean it out periodically. This, I don't think, has that kind of function, but it could be something that's looked at as part of the plan.
Well, it just speaks to the snapping turtle habitat, and they require passage through something. So I'm not quite clear on what needs to be done, but I'm not a turtle expert.
And I'm the first one to say, neither am I.
You're not a turtle expert either.
Yeah.
But I think
Anyway, not a snapping turtle expert.
It's something to think about, because if we do, then we need to start planning for it. So.
What I'm wondering, can we do this in site plan? And certainly my preference would be the condo board owns it, so that we don't have any ownership. And then they would decide which level of maintenance that they'd want for that piece of property. My concern is a whole bunch of phone calls saying you should be manicuring this space.
I think that this will be recorded in the minutes, and you're right, through the site plan process, through the landscape and plan, we can look at that whole issue as to the extent of the maintenance and who does it, if there is any.
Yep. Okay. So shall we continue? The motion that we're looking for here then would be to move this report as amended? Yeah.
So, right now, what I have is moved by Bruce. I have no seconder, but basically, it's the recommendation that Liz had in her report, and that the amendments would be that conditions 5.1 and Appendix C, Plan of Subdivision Conditions, and Appendix D of Plan of Condominium Conditions be amended, and that the owner shall prepare to the satisfaction of the township a landscape plan and tree preservation plan for the site to the satisfaction of the township, which shall, among other matters, provide for appropriate fencing along the south and east property lines, giving consideration to input from the adjacent landowners with the fencing and protection of existing trees located on the adjacent properties, including their root systems, and that the owner work with the township to incorporate a trail through the development that would provide a more direct route to
Okay.
schools then?
We couldn't put the, either way. No, what, put in the schools, it just sounds better.
To
Joseph Gould and Oxford Secondary.
both of them?
Yeah.
Okay. That's what I have. I don't have a seconder though.
Yeah, and Todd was the seconder. Okay, all in favor of that? Carried. All right. Liz, you have another one, I think.
Yeah.
Nope. We are first doing DS 3119, and this is in regards to Lucky Blossom. It's the Goodwood Golf Course.
So this is an extension of an existing temporary use, which is basically a tech shop facility in an existing building on the Angus Glen Golf Course. It's been there since 2013. It's, you know, innocuous. They're not ready to, or not able to, move on to build its own separate facility, and so there's no reason why we can't extend it. There's no impacts, there's no concerns, it's fine. So we're recommending that the temporary use be extended for another 3 years. It can only be extended for 3 years. That's the maximum.
Okay.
They'll be back here if they need to be in 3 years.
Okay. Perfect. Can someone give me a motion on that, please? Pam? And what was your motion? To move the recommendations of the report?
Yes, I would.
Okay.
Sorry, I was just having some technical difficulties
Okay,
here.
so moved by Pam to move the recommendations of Liz Housen's report, seconded by Todd. Any questions? Sorry, Gord?
Through you, I guess, to Liz, what would they need to do to make this permanent? If to go through a rezoning to make this permanent, without having to come in here every 3 years?
There is a zoning, already on this site that would give them, I guess, ultimately what they want, which is to have a separate facility. They, I guess because they think this is temporary, they don't want to be bothered to go through a rezoning. I don't know.
I'm just
Anyway,
trying to think of-
for whatever reason, they decided this is it. And partly it may be because this is on the Oak Ridges Moraine. This was in fact, this golf course was in fact the first official plan amendment and zoning bylaw amendment under the Oak Ridges Moraine plan. And to go back in and tinker with it, they may just feel is too much of a challenge because there are difficulties in interpretation.
Because I just know we do these 3-year things traditionally for somebody that's moving towards the goal of either relocating to a, like an industrial park or whatever the case may be, and or going through a rezoning or whatever they need to formalize it, right? So it can't go on forever. In other words, they have to be going towards something.
So my understanding is that they're not ready to invest in a permanent clubhouse. And what this is allowing them to do is, this is less than ideal, but it is allowing them to basically operate sort of a bit of a service on the site out of that existing building and that's why we've made it temporary, because we don't want to make that a permanent use. We want them to eventually build a clubhouse on the property.
Okay. Any other questions on that, or are we ready to move forward? So that was moved by Pam, seconded by Todd. All in favor? Carried? Okay, Liz, what's next for you? Oh, just the one on the addendum? Hey, Pam.
Oh, I do have another report before Jan leaves.
Okay.
So it's, and I don't know why it's not on the agenda, but it should be on the agenda.
Oh, is it? Okay, which one is this one? Okay. Thank you. Okay, so this is, oh yeah. Oh, 3219? This is the one we can't do.
No, it's 2819, which is the comments of the Region of Durham on Envision Durham Agricultural and Rural System discussion paper. And it was on one copy of the agenda that I saw, and it's not on the latest copy.
Oh. Okay, so let's go with 28, what was the number again?
2819.
2819. Of Liz Housen, and this is on the Envision Durham comments, right?
Right. So, the region, as you know, is undertaking what's called a municipal comprehensive review, which is a requirement under the growth plan and under the Planning Act. And as part of that, they're doing an extensive consultation program, which includes discussion papers. We will not be bringing comments to you on all those discussion papers. But we felt that this particular one, the agricultural and rural system discussion paper, was very germane to Uxbridge. So we have prepared comments on it. I'm not going to go through them all because there's 10 questions that they posed, and we've provided responses to them. And generally, what they're proposing is reasonable. So, for instance, what measures can the region take to support urban, oh no, that's not even particular to you. Okay, so in what ways do you believe the region should address the potential for land use conflicts arising between urban and rural uses? And so we've summarized for you what they're saying, and then we've responded, agree or don't agree, or some other suggestion. I believe these comments are due by the beginning of June. So we were hopeful that if there was anything else that you wanted to say, that we would get some comments and then get a direction to submit to the region. Because you obviously haven't seen this report, it may be that what you want to do is let us submit them, but with the caveat that there may be some additional comments from council coming, so that you sort of reserve that right.
Yeah. Ingrid wants to speak to this.
Yeah, we also went out to the agricultural committee, and we did get comments from them, which I've basically inserted into a chart.
Right.
And I've got a few comments from Councillor Ruona and from Councillor Beach that I've put together, and I can just submit the entire thing to you.
Right.
And maybe you can just roll it all into one. So I
Right.
can send those to you tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay,
So how do you want
how
to
do you-
deal with it in terms of council
Can we wait one more
authorizing
meeting?
comments?
They're due, when, the comments? June 3rd, so Monday's June 3rd, and that's okay. I think we've captured everything. There were a number of councillors who didn't respond because they didn't really understand it,
Mhm.
but we did get good comments from the Agricultural Committee as well. I think you
Mhm.
just need to be in that to really understand what they're saying.
Right.
So I'll send everything to Liz, and then we'll get the rolled-up report on the agenda for next week, on Monday.
But we will submit
And
first,
we'll submit after Monday. But we can submit them before, too. It doesn't really matter. They're due Monday.
Okay.
You know, I mean, I think as long as we let them know that they're coming, and they'll just be a little bit late, I think that's fine. They probably set a deadline,
Right.
and they don't expect people
So
to
I'll
be on
send
time.
my stuff to Liz tomorrow.
Okay. Sounds good. I know Ingrid and I have been discussing this, and we know it's certainly on its way, so. All right, so we won't make a motion now, we'll do this at our next meeting. Okay? And then Pam, can you get out of here, please?
Just as an FYI too, the Durham Agricultural Advisory is commenting on this, and we're well represented as Uxbridge on that, so we're coming in from all angles, which is good.
Yeah. Okay, so now we are on Report DS 3219 of Liz Howson in regards to Grain Boys Holdings. Can you speak to this, Liz?
Okay. So as you're aware, there was an appeal to the Grain Boys application, and as part of the package that has to go to the LPAT, the Local Planning Appeal Tribunal, it's necessary that a report be brought to council in response to the appeal. So this report is in response to the appeal that was filed. It has to be submitted to LPAT tomorrow, so that is why it was walked on here as an addendum. Basically, what the report does is it reviews the planning status, the consultation that took place. It reviews for you the nature of the appeal, and because the appeal is so lengthy, in fact, we attached the appeal to the report so that you have everything. It comes down to a situation where I prepared a planning report. I reviewed the provincial, regional, and township policies, policy planning, policy framework, as did the region. And our conclusion is different than the appellant's planner. So we concluded that the application conforms to the planning framework. He concluded that it did not. So basically that's the situation, and so what we're recommending to you is that you receive the report, and that you direct the township solicitor and your planning consultant, being me, to participate in the LPAT process and in any oral or written proceedings related thereto for the purposes of opposing the appeal and defending the bylaw.
Okay, sounds good. Would anyone, any questions for Liz? Go ahead.
Just one on, what do you foresee on the timelines for this? Like, are we talking the fall? 2020? When would you foresee something that's actually getting to LPAT? Or being resolved?
So the LPAT does have time limits in terms of when they have to deal with things. That is set out in the legislation. On the other hand, one of the reasons that they're changing the way that LPAT proceeds is that they are way, way behind, and they're all sorts of issues. So it frankly is anybody's good guess when this will come forward.
The reason I ask is, as you know, the province is reviewing
Yeah.
the LPAT/OMB process,
Mhm.
and whether we're reverting back, we don't know yet, as far as I'm aware, or
No.
maybe you know more than I do. So.
The proposals would take you back to some kind of hybrid.
Hybrid, yeah.
So it's not LPAT, it's not the OMB, it's something in between.
So would that be in effect to deal with this appeal? We don't know that.
It depends on the transitional provisions. My belief is that it won't, because you're not even at first reading on that legislation yet.
Okay.
So, but I honestly don't know.
We don't know. Thanks.
Does LPAT, will they hold a hearing or anything like that? I know the OMB quite often hold a hearing on issues.
So, LPAT does hold a hearing, but it's not, the rules are in flux. So, the way that it was set up, theoretically, only the lawyers got to speak. The planners and the other experts were supposed to submit their evidence by affidavit. But there's been all sorts of concerns with that, and so exactly how it will turn out for a particular hearing, again, I don't know.
But so there may or may not be a hearing.
Well, there is
a
a hearing, but it's not a hearing the way that we think of OMB hearings, which is, basically I get up, everybody gets up, we all give our evidence, we get cross-examined, and the lawyer, at the end sums up the thing. The way that the hearing is supposed to work under LPAT, they get all the written material, the board member's supposed to read it, and then the lawyers have, I think it's 75 minutes or something to present the case, and that's it. But there's a hearing, the lawyers are there, but the others are not supposed to speak. Now, anyway, the bottom line is the rules are in flux. There is some kind of hearing, but the nature of that hearing, who knows?
Okay. And I don't think we're going to solve any of this here tonight. So the motion that you require on this, Liz, is that we receive the report and ask the planner and lawyers and everyone else to fight this. Correct. Okay, can someone move and second that, please? Okay. Gord and Gary. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you very much. Okay, now we have a couple members of the public here on one other report. Can someone grab Pam? Thanks, Todd. This is report number CL 3019. Is this your last report, Todd?
No.
Oh, it's not? Okay, good. All right, and this is the terms of reference for the Accessibility Advisory Committee. Sure. Folks, Terry would like to speak to this. Can we get a motion to have him come up? You're going to be quick, right, Terry? Okay, great. But just a second, we need the motion. So moved by Willie, seconded by Gord. All in favor? Carried. Okay, come on up. I just tried to follow process. I always forget. Thanks, Terry.
All right. I'm going to take a little extra time by giving two thank yous. First of all, to Catalina, who's been our staff rep on the committee for the last couple of years, provided tremendous support and been a really valuable conduit between council, the township staff, and the committee. So thank you. And shame on you guys for making her work so late on her last night.
Sorry.
That's okay. And thank you to council for making CIP funding available to business owners this year to make accessibility improvements to their businesses. I think we've had one application so far. Fingers crossed that we get a lot more and owners seize the opportunity to take advantage of some of that funding. The terms of reference are essentially the same as they were before, and it's fitting. I think Willie probably mentioned that this is Accessibility Awareness Week, that we're making these changes this week. So I just want to highlight the changes so you don't need to read everything in great detail. Section B, mandate. the second last bullet at the top of the second page. We've added, in addition to the Accessibility for Ontarians with Disabilities Act, the Planning Act Section 41, and then we've added a bullet there that says selecting and reviewing in a timely manner the site plans and drawings for new development described in Section 41 of the Planning Act. So what we've discovered, and we thought it was important to include in the terms of reference, is that the mandate of the committee and the responsibilities from council to committee and committee to council are included in Section 41 of the Planning Act, so we thought we should recognize that in the terms of reference. And then under E, reporting relationship, the last paragraph is an addition. It is the responsibility of council to circulate reports, projects, or ideas that affect accessibility issues to the AAC for advice and comment. So to document that formally, that specifically when anything is done that is municipally owned or leased, there's a legislated requirement that that come before the Accessibility Advisory Committee for input. On other issues, and I'm no expert on the Planning Act, but it's a little bit grayer to me, that non-municipally owned or leased facilities, it's more of a guidance and a working relationship, but on municipal facilities, it's mandated that they be referred to the AAC for comment. So we wanted to build all of that formally into the document. Questions on that?
Yeah, any questions for Terry? Gord?
Yeah, thanks, Terry. Just a question on your, when it says selecting, reviewing, and timely manner the site plans, et cetera. With you guys only meeting 4 times a year, does that give you time to review these things?
No, and that is a change we made. It actually said 3 times. And we've agreed as a committee to have ad hoc meetings as required.
So
and I think
you
it's going to be a
answered my
learning
next question.
process to figure out how we do this without
So if we
bogging
needed to get
things
something
down.
to you, you would just call a special meeting?
We'll
or
figure out. And we've also talked about maybe assigning people to certain tasks or certain projects.
Okay.
So that we don't need, because
Whole
it's
meeting.
advisory,
Right.
it's not necessarily a voting issue, it's an input issue.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And so we'll parcel at work if it becomes onerous.
Perfect, thank you.
Thanks for that.
Okay, thanks.
Actually, Willie has a question.
Not a question, more of a comment.
Okay.
And it's been a little bit of a bittersweet night for Catalina, I'm sure, but I feel really excited and confident with this committee. Catalina has set this group up for success. I think we've really got our feet underneath us, and we've got a lot of exciting things going on. Maggie here is already in red for the week, so you can see that our committee's committed to what we need to do. And yeah, I just wanted to say to in front of council here and everybody that the Accessibility Committee is really super excited about, trying to do what we can for the township and working together.
And just to add to that, a number of us ran on active transportation, age-friendly, and accessibility. And I think we have the committee to get that done, no question. And the fact that they are looking to be more supportive to council, bringing these types of issues up, I think it's really important, and we need to make sure we use their expertise. And I think we have the right team here. So, thanks, Terry. Okay, what would you like to do with this report, Willie?
I'd like to support Catalina's recommendations. I would make that motion recommendations 1 through 3 as per the report.
And Gord will second, and all in favor? That's carried. All right, what's next here, Catalina?
Should we just finish reports and then go back to correspondence?
Sure, let's do it. Which report are we on then? Sorry, we got out of order here, guys, so just bear with me. Saver. Okay. Okay. So guys, this is report DS 2919. This is from Amelia in regards to the dwelling design and elevation plan for 99 2nd Avenue. This is yours, Bruce. Do you want to do something with it?
It's getting late. It's past my bedtime. No, I mean, the idea, I think the only request was to get a drawing of the building, and now it's been presented.
Yeah, it's there, so I think we're good. Yeah. So, I think the direction there was to receive it for information,
Just the protocol is, that we review any drawings that comes in. We don't have to approve them, but
Right, that's,
Previous councils have asked, what's it gonna look like, so
Okay.
that's why they provide us with this, so.
I'm just trying to get the
Anybody
page
else?
back up here. I think Todd's doing the same thing. What, remind me what page we're on?
Yes, it's 65 here, so. 65, yep, oh, here we go.
Yeah, there's nothing.
The
there.
recommendation here I've got, that, the report be received for information and that the mayor and members of council approve the building elevations for 99 Second Avenue. Okay, so do you wanna move that?
I'll make that motion. Yep.
Seconded by Todd, all in favor? Carried. Okay, now, I go down from here, right, Catalina?
Yep.
This is terms of reference for accessibility, we got that. We are now on Palm Beach, aren't we?
Yep.
Okay. This is report PB 0419 from Palm Beach in regards to the farmers of Uxbridge. No, we're gonna do this after. Okay, Pam, do you wanna speak to it very briefly?
Please.
We need to go.
I know. Yes, I've been very pleased that, the township has supported this event. The 10th year I'm running this, Farmers of Uxbridge. I'm got a lot of big plans for this year to really promote agriculture, the education. If we can get even more people out to understand about what farming is about and how it takes place and what it takes to be a farmer, because I really believe, and it's, I think, proved in the last 6 months or so, that there's a great amount of the population that don't really know what it takes to grow things,
Okay,
including grain.
excellent. Okay, so who would like to move the recommendations of this report?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, so, moved by Gary, seconded by Willie, all in favor, that is carried. You didn't vote for your own report, Pam. All right, next is, we did the Liz one, this is Deb's report, CL 3219, did we do this? Oh, township page. All right. So, Deb, do you want to speak to this? No? Okay, no problem. Is there any questions for Deb on this report? The recommendations for this are, this is for the township page, which is CL 3219. So the recommendations are that, it be received for information that the township page be awarded to the Uxbridge Cosmos effective June 1st, well, that's fast, $285 per year. And that the option to renew for $285 for 2020 and 2021 be included. Okay, moved by Pam, seconded by Willie, all in favor? Again, all in favor? Carried. Opposed? Okay. All right. All right, next one is, okay, are we back to correspondence? Okay. Just bear with 210. We're going to 210, item number 210, not page.
Page 27.
Thank you. All right, this is, the Ministry of Municipal Affairs in regards to their More Homes, More Choices, Ontario's Housing Supply Action Plan. What would we like to do with this? My concern, just jumping in here quick, there are no major employment lands north of, 2 miles from Lake Ontario, which is an issue for us. Now, this is something that we're asking for with our provincial government in terms of expanding industrial lands in Uxbridge, so this should help. But anyway, what would we like to do this? Maybe just a motion to receive? Okay, moved by Pam, seconded by Todd to receive. All in favor? That's carried. Do you know where we are, Roger? No idea. Okay, this is, we're on page 27. This is item number 210, and this is the, you got it now? Okay, and we just received it for information. All right, next is item 211. This is Kevin Finnerty. He's the Deputy Minister in regards to the Ontario Heritage Act. What would we like to do with this? We have something else from our Heritage Chair further in the meeting. Okay, what would we like to do with this? Pam?
I'd like to support it.
Well, but I think...
And receive it and support the...
I think we have to, I think we'd have to receive it because
Okay,
unless we wanted to write a letter of support. It's more of an FYI of what they did.
fine, support.
Well, okay, receive then, if you're easy. Okay, motion to receive. Moved by Pam, seconded by Willie, all in favor? That's carried, thank you. Item number 212, Region of Durham, and this is approval in principle to the Durham Community Energy Plan. You can support this one if you want, Pam. Okay, motion to support by Pam. Let me just, before we get the seconder for that, part of this from a Durham regional perspective, we are a huge energy user. We were part of a plan, with the province that we would lower our usage, during peak demand, and we saved over $1 million last year in regional taxes because of that. So, because we played the game and would lower demand during peak, we saved over $1 million. Okay, motion to support by Pam, seconded by Gord.
Yeah, I'll second it. I think Ingrid wants to chime in here. We've done a lot of work at this tier as well, and I think we deserve to blow our own horn a little louder than we have.
And we have our energy plan actually coming on Monday.
Yeah.
The staff in all of the departments have done a lot of work on trying to manage it. And Catalina's put together our next 5-year forecast with a lot of work also from Terry Green, who has been with us right since we did our ICSP. And he did all of the energy work for Durham Region through all of the energy stuff that I've been involved with. So we hired him this year to help us pull together all our greenhouse gas requirement pieces, which you'll see all the numbers in the report are from him, and the rest of it's from Catalina. And unfortunately, we didn't get it until pretty late, so it's going Monday.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll second this, Dave.
Okay, all in favor? That's carried. Okay, item number 213, this is from City of Oshawa to the Region of Durham in regards to the Durham Agricultural Plan. Maybe a motion to receive? Motion, Pam, seconded by Willie, all in favor? Carried. And then the next one, and this is kind of fun. This is a letter from our last deputy clerk. Mike signed this. This is 217 from the Township of Aurora to the Honorable Doug Ford in regards to Bill 108, More Homes, More Choices Act. This is in regards to the OMB reform. The mayor of Aurora was instrumental in changing the old OMB to the LPAT, so he's quite concerned that we're going backwards on this file, and our municipalities are losing power here. Gord?
As our planner, who's not here now, said, the jury is still out and no one really knows, so
Yeah.
whether this new thing will be a hybrid, who knows, right? So but you're right, we don't want to be going back in time.
Yeah. Okay, what do you want to do with this? Gord,
I'd
do you wanna
support this, yeah.
support? Okay.
Yeah.
Motion to support by Gord, seconded by Pam. All in favor? Have I been missing you, Pam? No. That's carried. Obviously. Okay. Wait, is there two of these? Just a second. Item 214. Oh, no, we're good. Okay. Next one is item 215. This is from the Township of Archipelago or something like that. I've never heard of these guys. But again, about Bill 108. Maybe we should... Oh, what do we want to do with this, folks? Is that... That's not... What's that? Oh, was it? Okay. Fair enough. Oh, is there a game going on, Willie? Okay. Folks, what do we want to do with this? Give me a motion, quick. Bruce, you're the tired one. Come on. There we go. Moved by Bruce, seconded by Todd. All in favor? Carried. Next is item number 216. This is from Robin Coombs in regards to the Ontario Heritage Act. Pam, any comments on Robin's letter?
I really like the letter. I like the things that are proposed about the time extensions, and I think it is very important that, you know, just clarifying the rules that have been in place and just enforcing them, the possibilities and the difference. actually knowing and understanding the difference between a designation and, just being on the registry. And being on the registry, it just allows, if the house is going to be torn down, then it allows the heritage to go and, you know, see whether we can stop, or at least just take photographs of what was, so we know what was there, because in the past, things have come down before we've even had a chance to log what the house looked like and certain attributes, because some buildings have to come down, and that's just the way it is.
Okay.
So,
What would you like to do with this letter then, Pam?
sorry. I'd like to, receive it, and I guess that's about it, like, just to receive it and for people to understand on council what it's actually about, this
Okay.
amendment.
Excellent. Seconded by Gord. All in favor? Carried.
Just a follow-up.
Yep.
I'm not quite clear why they sent this to us. It's an FYI. I mean, I would assume we would have all have read the Schedule 11, but anyway, if we hadn't, I guess it's it's a reminder to go ahead and do so. And also that this is a draft. This is not legislation yet, so whatever it says here could change dramatically before it becomes law, so just bear that in mind.
Okay, item number 217, this is from Lori Moore, the Music by the Bay, and it's to request that their event on July 9th be made a municipally significant event.
I support that.
Oh, you're slow today.
What's that?
Gord, seconded by Gary, all in favor? Carried. All right, next one, we already dealt with it. 204, this is from Dagmar. Okay. Now, oh, and Bill's here, great. So, what's our plan with this one here again, guys? Oh, we have to lift it. Give me a motion to lift this. Gord, seconded by Gary, all in favor of lifting it from the table. That's carried. Any comments on this? Go ahead, Pam. Did you speak to some of your residents?
That's what I was going to tell you about.
Excellent.
I actually did that today. High Hope Farm says doing a great job, you know, because they're, I don't know, a year or so ago, they lost all their plum and blueberries because of the dust. I don't think it was a Dagmar situation. I think it was on the Pickering side. So he's very pleased so far about the consideration and everything. And also I spoke to the Mr. Moore, and he said as long as the dust is kept down, because his wife has COPD and she's on constant oxygen, but he's pleased so far, very pleased about the not stopping and a few other things you put into place. So he's very, very pleased about that. I spoke to Stoney. I have no idea what his last name is. He's right next, and he said he appreciates, because right now your tailgates are going down in the opposite direction and the sound isn't as bad. So he does appreciate that, and if, as I think Mayor Barton had mentioned about the beepers having the quieter ones, he's appreciating some of that. And one thing that Mr. Moore was concerned with, that you won't just keep, after what we planned for this expansion for your ski hills, that it won't just keep continuing after that as a thing. And I said, I don't believe so. I think they'll be glad to have this finished. So, and then there's another resident, I know very well what she's going to say, and I ran out of time today, so.
Okay. No problem. And I spoke to the people from High Hope as well, just an event this weekend, and they said obviously they'd prefer, you know, these trucks not going by their location, but they say you're doing what you can to mitigate the issues. So, thanks for your hard work on that. I appreciate it. All right. Now, what kind of motion do we need to make on this? Okay. Can I get a motion to do that then, Pam? Seconded by, Todd? All in favor? Carried. Any against, opposed on that one? Okay, so, the motion is to support this Dagmar fill operation moving to the next stage. That's what you need, right, Deb? Yep. Okay, excellent. Thanks a lot. No problem. Sorry you had to wait so long. I hope you're not a hockey fan. Yeah, it's only the Browns. Who wants to watch them? How's it going, Willie? What's the score? Oh, okay. All right, next. Okay, we've done this one. Are we done? Bylaws. Who's got the bylaws? Just a second. Folks, Pam, I have an issue with the first one, and that is the Rogers agreement. There's a proposed tower going in in behind Williamson's, and I wanted to have some more information that I haven't been able to get. Brian's been away. If we can pull that one out, as long as... Oh, no. Okay. Can we pull it for now? Okay. Can I get a motion to table the first bylaw, just a second? Which one is it? Yeah, so 078, unless someone really wants that to go today? Okay. Okay, motion to table moved by Pam, seconded by Todd, all in favor? Can you guys actually vote this time? Pam, Todd? Okay, all in favor of tabling that? That's carried. So I couldn't get enough hands at the same time. All right. Then, do you want to read all the other bylaws? Just pull out that one, Pam.
Okay. Bylaw requiring 3 readings, first and second reading, moved by Pam Beach, seconded by Todd Snooks, that leave be granted to introduce bylaw 2019-079 to 2019-082, and the same be read first and second time.
All those in favor? Carried.
Third reading, moved by Pam Beach, seconded by Todd Snooks, that bylaw number 2019-079 to 2019-082 now be read third time, finally passed, and mayor and clerks duly sign and seal the same.
All those in favor? Carried. Okay, I'm trying to remember, do we do confirming bylaw and then questions, or do we do questions?
Well, I'll start
Okay,
coughing.
so questions from the press? Go ahead, Moya.
Sorry, can I just clarify the amendments that were put on the development? There was the trees and the pathway. Was there a third one?
The trees, I think it's trees, fencing.
I've got it printed, you can have it. Yeah.
Okay. Good. Mr. Varley?
My first question is, are you not going to get onto other business?
Oh, shoot, thank you. Sorry, yeah, we are. Thank you.
Obviously, Catalina's a little lax on her last night. She should have pointed that out.
Okay, thanks. If you could be the new deputy clerk, that'd be amazing. You looking for a job?
I don't look nearly as nice as Catalina.
It's a matter of opinion, Roger. Back to
You're roasting me. You said you'd roast me.
Okay, let's start with other business. This is Ministry of Agriculture, Food and Rural Affairs, creating jobs and boosting economic growth. This is on page 121. Someone give me a motion? Receive. Gord, and seconded by Willie. All those in favor? Carried. Okay, and then that's it. That was the only other business, right, Catalina? Yep. Okay, we're good. So now a question from Roger. Thank you.
Yeah, just a couple of brief ones.
Yeah.
What was Liz Howson's report, DS 2819, about? Because it wasn't on the agenda.
Oh, so we didn't do anything with it, but it was about the Durham region, Envision Durham, the agriculture portion of it.
Oh, okay.
We're going to have it on the next agenda. But while we had Liz here, we thought we'd let her explain it. She won't be here for our next meeting.
Okay. bylaw 78, can you explain to me, maybe what that's about and why it's been tabled?
So, we tabled it because when we read the bylaw, it wasn't really clear, and I know there's a tower proposed. So there's a master agreement that we often have, but I just wasn't sure if the new tower was in it yet. And, I wanted to ask some questions on that tower. And my email just clicked as I said that, so I'll be able to read it now. Oh, your mic's not on, Roger. Your mic isn't on.
Bylaw 80, this land agreement with the museum grounds.
This is,
What's that all about?
so we're applying, I'm pretty sure, we're applying for a Trillium grant. We're applying for a Trillium grant. And for, to make some of those pathways accessible and to do some work on the parking lot. I'm guessing this is to get ready for that. Am I right? Yeah.
Actually, those agreements are required to be in place in order to apply for Trillium. If somebody else is applying on behalf of a property not that they don't own.
And finally, if you'll allow me, Mayor.
I will allow you to do whatever you want.
Not a question, but I've heard lots of compliments thrown at Catalina tonight, and she deserves all of them. But it seems to me that before Catalina we had an excellent deputy clerk in Michael Durand.
Yep.
And he went off to be a clerk in Aurora. And before Michael Durand we had Paul Shipway, and he went off to be a clerk down southern Ontario somewhere. So it seems to me that perhaps congratulations are in order to your senior staff who saw fit to hire these bright people in the first place, and also for the training they must have given them so that they can be clerks somewhere else. That's all I have to say.
I think we might have to pull back on the training because we keep losing them all.
Exactly. Roger, thank you for recognizing our senior staff, and obviously Catalina. We appreciate it. And once in a while, you write things that we agree with.
Fair game now, Dave.
Yep.
Confirming bylaw, yeah.
Yeah, read the, Evelyn, do you have any questions? Are you okay? Oh, okay. Sorry, we have Gail. Go ahead, Gail.
Are you finished asking questions? Are you finished asking questions? I just saw you stand up, so I thought you were through. Okay. I just wanted to say that I'm glad that Roger made that comment, because if he hadn't, I would have, because I think Ingrid and Debbie should give lessons out to the other townships, because they produce wonderful deputy clerks. And even though not everybody loves Ingrid, Debbie, out there sometimes for various reasons.
I need an umbrella for all the shade.
But I will say, I don't think there's anybody in this room has led a perfect life. And I think that this township does the best they can do, and I keep reminding people these last few months about our mayor and our councilors that are new for this first term, and I just said, remember, they're only humans like you and I, and they do the best they can, and they love smiles on faces, not swearing words. So, like the past deputy clerks, I'm sorry, Catalina, when the previous one left, I did go to Aurora for the first meeting, but you're going too far for me. And, so I thank you once again for all your help in the past 2 years, and I think you're a special individual that this local government will have for the future. And I hope your future husband will appreciate the gift he's about to receive. And I'm sure that, I wasn't going to say anything, but the other day you said, and you know that I'll do anything for anybody if I can, and you said that you didn't care if you had to stay here till 11 o'clock tonight because you were going to miss not being able to work for the town of Uxbridge and its people, and you were glad that it was going to be an evening meeting. And so I hope I've extended this a few more minutes for you to take all this in before everybody else goes asleep. So, on that note, congratulations to the clerk's department, to the CAO, and your fellow councilors of Uxbridge, and to the mayor of Uxbridge. Congratulations.
Thank you.
For
Thank you
so
very
far.
much. Thank you very much, Gail. And actually, just something to note, we had dinner together with some of us, and somebody asked Catalina who her favorite resident is, and she said, no question, it's Gail Sanderson.
Oh, thank you very much.
Just so you're aware.
So you want me to cry instead of just you?
Exactly. Anyway, Gail, thank you very much for that.
Sort of another question. When will Catalina's replacement be announced? I'm sorry?
We haven't got there yet, we're still interviewing. And the applications are closed, unfortunately, you can't apply.
I really wanted them. Anyway, thanks everyone. Oh, confirming bylaw we've done. No confirming bylaw. Go for it, Todd.
Confirming bylaw for May 27, 2019, first reading and second reading moved by Pam Beach, seconded by Todd Snooks. That leave be granted to introduce bylaw number 2019-083, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of its regular meeting of council on May 27, 2019, and the same be read a first and second time.
All those in favor? All those in favor?
Carried. Third reading moved by Pam Beach, seconded by Todd Snooks, that bylaw number 2019-083 be now read a third time, finally passed, and the mayor and clerk duly sign and seal same.
All those in favor? Carried. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
No, we're staying.
Can I get a motion to adjourn?